सो हेलो गाइस, वेलकम टू जावा ईजेसम। और इस वीडियो में हम लोग बात करने वाले हैं आइडेंटिफायर्स के बारे में। सो दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स, आइडेंटिफायर। कल मैंने लाइव क्लास में इसको कवर करने की कोशिश किया था, बट बिकॉज ऑफ द टाइम we are not able to cover it, so I am going to cover this recording sessions. Okay, so identifiers basically we need to know about it, because whenever you start writing a code, for example whenever you write a class, method, variables, so that time definitely you have to know about like what is the name you can give as a class name, as a method name, as a variable name. So in that case, so many people are the confused. They are writing some wrong or invalid class name, invalid method name, invalid variable name. So for that you have to know about these rules. Once you know about these rules, then you can easily write any class name which is standards follow. We can easily write the variables name or method name. Okay, so let's see the rules, like what is the identifiers rules. So identifiers is nothing but like whatever you are writing here, we are start writing a some class, for example. So here, for example, class. So somebody people are writing a curly braces open close. Yeah, that is right, that is right, no issue. So this is nothing but identifiers. But here if you write something like start with at the rate, that is the special character, so you can't write at the rate, you can't start with 1 2 3. This is not a valid class name, that is not a valid identifier. Okay, so this is not a valid. If you are starting with like that, this is not a valid identifier if you write something that is wrong. So for that you have to know about the rules, like what is the class name we can give. Okay, so let's go to the tutorials slides and you can see here. So identifier must begin with the letters from A to Z. So whatever the alphabets you have, even it's a capital or a small, we can write. You can start with the dollars or you can start with the underscore. That is the possible. Okay, so whenever you are writing any class, you can start with the underscore. You can start underscore a b c. Yeah, your name also you can give. Okay, you can start with the dollar also, dollar abc, yeah, something, your name 1 2 3, something like that. That is fine, that is possible. Java is given the flexibility to write a code like that. But if you start something with something direct number, that is not a valid identifiers. So in that case you have to think about it, and you can only write from capital A to a small z, a small a to capital D, or you can start with from the starting only with the dollars or only underscore. Apart from this, if you start writing a code or like identifier which is class, method, variables, then it is invalid. Okay, later we can discuss in the depth about it. Okay, so here basically you can start with the some capitals letters. Generally we are starting, so we can give a student, this is the class name, so this is the identifier. Same rules we are applying with the variables also. So whenever you are creating any variables, int a equal to 10, so here a is a variable which is identifier. So this identifier you can't give name like that 2 3 4 4, that is not a valid, that is a invalid. Only you can give which is rule is defined for the identifiers. Same thing with the method also. If you writing any methods, for example public, statics, void, and you are writing any methods which is something like 1 2 3, yeah, 2 3 4s, and you are defining this method like that. So here this is the identifier, but this is not a valid identifier. This is will give the issue, this will not compile and run the code. You can only start with the small a to capital Z, and you can start with the underscore or something, you can start with the dollar. Only this is the flexibility you have while writing a code or while writing a identifier. Okay, let's go to the slide. So this is the first rule you have to know while starting. Identifiers cannot begin with a numbers. Okay, that is already we have discussed. You can't give a numbers. Identifiers can contains letters, numbers, dollar sign, or underscore only. Identifiers are the case sensitive, which means my variables and my variables. Like here you can see capital V, a small v. So what is the case sensitive? Case sensitive means like even it's a capital or a small. So in one variable having a capital A and one variable having a small a. So Java is a case sensitive, so it's considered both are the two variables. Okay, are the two different identifiers. Okay, this is the two identifiers, but only difference is capital B or a small v. Java keywords cannot be used as a identifiers, for example int and while. Okay, so these are the keywords, so you can't use as a identifier. So for example in Java, if you go to the notepad and here somebody is very smart and he just write like, okay, I will give the class name is while. That is not possible. This is invalid identifier. Why? Because this while is a keyword and this is already available in the JDK. So because of that you have to think about some other name apart from the keyword, which is already reserved. So keyword is already reserved, you can't use as a identifiers. Okay, so those things you have to keep in the minds. Okay, reserved words in the Java cannot be used as a variables names over any identifiers names. Identifiers should be the descriptive and meaningfuls. So whenever you are writing any class name, variables name or method name, it should be the some senseful. You can't write like something like I want to write a student, so that is sensible. This is the student class. But if you write something like S means what? We don't understood what is S. So somebody people are try to write a S. So this is not a sensible. You can't understood. Somebody people are not read and not understood like what is S. Okay, so for that you have to write a student. So that it's a good writing code. So you have to write the descriptive and meaningfuls. Identifiers should not able to too long or too short. A good practice is to identifier is a combination of the word that describe the element purpose. So basically we are writing a identifier means method, variables or class for particular meaningful name, which is easily you can see and you can understood. Okay, this is what. Okay, so for that we are writing a identifiers. Okay, let's go to the next slides. So this is the rules, you have to remember it, then only you can write any identifiers, which is class name, variables names and method name. If you write anything else, so okay, one more things, this rules is very important when you are going to the objective written exam. If you are a fresher and you are writing some like doing some online practice or you are writing some online test which is objective, then that time it's a very important. They will give 4 options and he will say like which one is a right identifiers. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So here you have to choose valid and invalid identifiers in the Java. So here you can see this is the valid identifiers. This like left side is a valid identifiers, right side is a invalid identifiers. So here you can see my variable, that is fine, underscore, that is fine, dollar, that is fine, my variables 1 to 3, that is fine, started with the some alphabet, that is fine, underscore or dollar, that is fine. So this is the valid identifiers name. Why this is invalid identifiers? Because this is started with the numbers. So identifiers cannot be start with the numbers. This is the while keyword. So because of that, that is not a valid identifiers. My variables having a space. So identifiers cannot contain any space. Okay. So this is the because of the space you can't consider it's a like identifier. My variable hatch. So hatch is what? It's a special symbol, a special character. So because of that, it's a illegal characters. You can't write as a identifier inside the identifier. My underscore var contains and a underscore at the beginning. So what will happen here? It's not from the starting, it's in middle of that. So my underscore var contains an underscore at the beginning only, not into the in middle of that. So if you write like that, it is the invalid identifiers. Okay, so here we have some input output. So you have to select the some invalid identifiers. So while is a invalid, while is invalid, if is invalid. Okay, what about this one? Yeah, this one is a valid, and my variable, this is a invalid. So like that you have to select, okay, invalid or valid identifier. Here you have to select valid identifier. While sum, this is a invalid. If 1 2 3, so if is what, something numbers, dollar 1 2 3 pk. So in that you have to select the valid identifiers, okay, and you have to just comment in the discussion so that I can understood ki how much you understood about the identifiers. Okay, so I hope you understood, and also please remember these rules. Based on that we can go forward and we can write any identifiers as a class, methods or variables. Thank you so much.